Hi, this is the WayOut series. It is a collection of testimonies and revelations that can help you in your own healing journey. This is an online training on renewing your mind, inner healing, based on the way that's already behind me. This is not a few-step program. It is an encouragement and tools from someone on the way out to others on the way out. I believe that what meant a turning point for me will become yours as well. Have a great way out. Hi, this is the exercise for the 10th session. In this session, I was talking about the season when I had a lot of time to spend in silence and how it affected my emotional well-being. And what I would like to do with you is to practice this silence together. To practice silence, you basically only need silence. So there's not much point in me talking about it if you already know how to practice it. So if you know how to be in silence, just do it and just pause the video as soon as you feel like being in silence. So there's nothing you need to hear from me about that. If you love silence and know it, if you don't practice it and you don't really know how this works, this is the case I make this practice for. I try to lead you into silence in this video. Again, as soon as you feel like to just be in silence, don't need to listen to me, just pause the video. The point of this video is to be in silence, not to listen to me about like my ideas of silence. In many other practices, I have these questions for the exercise that are kind of necessary for the exercise. This exercise is about complete nothing, like you sitting in absolute silence. So there's no trick to it. So all the things I'm gonna talk about is just to help you to find that place in yourself. So I think we can start it now, and remember to pause the video when you feel like starting the silent practice, because this is the point of this video. You can take a deep breath. Many people do this as a practice for silent times, just watching their breaths. I don't think it's a magical tool, but it really prevents your brain to go into more complex thoughts when you just watch your breath. And it's the same with all other silent activities, like watching the clouds or watching leaves. Like when there is a little bit of activity into it, but not really much, and it helps your brain to go into silence because it is kind of occupied with a happening, but with a happening that is very peaceful. So it can trick your brain. For me, it can be painting as well. Like, I just paint stuff, and it's like not really demanding intellectually, like just to find out a new color. It's like not something I really need to pay full attention to, and my brain can go into like complete peace. So you can use different tricks if you feel like to. It's really about guiding yourself into that silence, and because it's so simple that no one practices it. Like, oh, and how do you do that? Actually, it's just you do it. Like, there's nothing magical about it, but because it's so simple, we don't believe that it helps us, and we have all these ideas in our heads that I should do that, it's a waste of time, I'm bored, I don't do it right, I need to do something, and so on. So what I advise to you is that you just do it. Like, you just sit down and take 1 minute. You can start with 1 minute. You don't need to start with half an hour or 10 minutes. Everyone has 1 minute. You spend more time scrolling down your Facebook feed and watching cat videos. Like, you can afford wasting a minute of your day on silence. And then you just do nothing. You just exist. Let's do that. Just find this place in yourself where there is nothing. Under the layers of thoughts and emotions and identity and all of it, there is a constant silence. An eternal tranquility. And you can reach that place, and you can find it. Just find it. It's in you. It's the core of your being. You don't need to look for it. It's not like you are overwhelmed by peace every now and then and you try to get back there. Sometimes we just all of a sudden experience peace and we try to find out how to get back there. And this is a good idea, but it's not true. This is not something you reach. You don't climb up there. This is something that is the very core and center of your being. It's like under the layers of worn out carpets and dusty pavements and concrete layers, there is a marble floor. That is the presence. Under the layers of your thoughts and emotions and all that you think you are, there is this God of peace living in you. The fullness of God dwells in you, so it's very easy to meet Him. Just when you are in silence, you allow God to show Himself to you without all the concepts you have of Him and of yourself. It's like laying down on God's operating table. He knows what to do about your emotions, about your history, and you are just out for the whole time. It would be crazy for a real surgeon to operate a patient in a sober state while the patient is at their mind. It would hurt like crazy, and the patient would like talk into what the doctor tries to do. Don't cut me here, cut me there, what are you doing? It would completely hinder or devastate the process of the operation. And there is something like that about silence. Your mind is numb, like you send it into inactivity. And that's when God just does what He can do. And many times I feel like nothing really happened. Like I literally wasted a whole hour of my day. That's how I feel. Like I don't feel anything special happening. And then I start to do my things, and I'm like, I'm not even the same person that has sat down to spend some time in silence. Like I'm not the same me. So it feels like nothing happened, but everything is different. Yeah. So there are a lot of aspects to silence. Like it can affect all areas of your life, but it's a mental health course, so I'm going to talk about the mental health aspect. And let me tell you, if you only do it from the perspective of like emotional well-being, it's very sad. Like if you don't benefit from silence in any other way, it's more than worth it. Just return to this place of silence under the layers of everything. This is who you really are. We think that we are our thoughts and our history and our personalities. This is not true. Who you really are is that peace. this is the place where God can reveal your true self to you and introduce yourself to you. This is the place where He can heal you and work on you. And this is the place where you can be who you really are. Because when you don't think about stuff, or you don't identify with your thoughts, you just observe them, you can no longer cling to your identity made of your history and thoughts and emotions, and you are taking a step back from it. And this is huge, like observing your own self from the outside, from the place of your true self, that is your oneness with God. Saint Teresa of Avila talks about this a lot, and I know there is a great depth to it. I'm only gonna talk about the mental health aspect. She has this idea of the interior castle with different rooms. She says that there are 7 rooms, and there are some happenings in every one of them, like a lot of struggle or pain and chaos and lies and war and all of that. And it's a complex thing in this book. But there is this innermost chamber of this castle. And this is the room where the king reigns. So there is this place in your soul that is not affected by the other happenings in your soul. Like maybe you have some trauma to digest, and some healing process to go through, and some destruction of lies. Maybe there are some serious issues going on in many rooms of your soul, but there is this most insider room that is the place of presence, that is the place of peace, where the Prince of Peace always reigns with you. And you can go into that chamber and you can watch and observe all the other rooms from this place. So the other point in silence is to learn that you are not what you think you are, and you can actually just observe the things that are going on in you. And it's not just about healing process. Like, for example, to me, there was a new disappointment happening last week, and I had to I had this choice, do I really want to experience this disappointment in a way that I'm completely identified with it, oh, I'm that disappointment, or I can go back to the place of peace and just look at it from the outside, this is what is going on in my soul. And this is not denial. It's not oh, there's nothing wrong about my thinking, there's nothing wrong about my emotions, actually nothing bad has ever happened to me. It's not denial at all. You just have another place to look at your issues from. and it helps you not to identify with the happenings of your soul. Like many times the biggest hindrance of healing is that I am that pain, I am that trauma, and you are not. The truth of your being is that complete peace and silence, and there are parts of your soul that are affected by this thought and this memory and this and that. And actually, you can experience all of it from that place of ruling with Jesus in the innermost chamber. And you can go back there anytime. When there is a huge happening and chaos in you, you feel like, oh, I can't go to silence now. And it is a lie. This silence is always available because it's not something you can attain, it's something who you are in the core of your being. And you can go there anytime because this is who you are. So it can happen that there is a lot of like painful, chaotic feelings in me, and then I feel like I don't want to be in this chamber of my soul where there are these terrible things. I want to go to this peaceful room and I want to look at those happening from there. And this is something what silence does to you. It helps you disassociate from all your thoughts and emotions, and this peace becomes your identity instead of the emotional mess. And this is essential because we have built up a lie identity, and if we think that is who we are, this is how we are going to act, and this will keep us staying in that spiral. So the only way out of this spiral, what we think ourselves to be, is to actually stop thinking in a way. And when you are at this silent place, first, probably you will have all kinds of thoughts. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna stop thinking, I don't think. It's not, it doesn't work like that. It's like you don't take your own thoughts seriously, and you don't go down the road of any of your thoughts. Like, okay, that's what comes up in my mind. Okay, let it be. You don't fight against it, but you also don't analyze it and work on it. This silent phase is not about solving your problems. It's actually about giving up your attempt to solve anything. Silence is the greatest expression of trust to God. Sometimes we say, oh, let's have more faith. We should only believe more. And kind of true, but faith is not an attempt. Faith is simple trust. And many times silence is like, I know you love me enough to take care of my soul and to work on me. You want to heal me, and you love healing me, and you are doing it. And I'm stepping back. I don't want to like oversee what you're doing. I'm not your manager. I'm laying down on your operating table and have your way. silence in a sense is checking out of your own healing process. God, you know how my soul works and how it can be fixed, and I leave it up to you. And it's very precious when God just shows us what He's doing and what is going on in our soul, and it's very kind, and I love it. And there are so many issues that God really doesn't want to involve us in. Like, He knows how this thing works in our brain and in our soul, and he just does it when we don't pay attention to anything related to our soul. So this idea that I can only get healed if I see my healing is not true. There are times when He feels like revealing, like, oh, I'm doing this in your soul and I make you remember that, and I'm gonna take away the pain and this or that. And there are times when we are just thinking about nothing and we are not the same anymore. So when you sit down, first you will have all kinds of thoughts. You will remember everything, all the regrets of your life, probably all the things that you should have done. And so probably when you first try not to think, you will have even more thoughts. And that's why it is important not to be against thoughts, because if you reject them, they are just more empowered. Then I'm gonna really come at you. So just observe, and if they want to be crazy, then let them be crazy. And after a while, there will be less of them, and maybe you will get to the place when you are you don't even have that much thoughts. Maybe you will feel like you are not your body, and you feel like you are not what you are, what you think you are, and you will feel independent of yourself, which is crazy. It can happen, but that's not the point. It's okay if you are completely bored when you do this silence thing. And you are bored because your mind is addicted to happenings, outsider happenings and insider happenings, and it craves them. And it's like a drug addict, it demands its drugs. And first there can be this cold turkey kind of phase of your rehab. It's your mind is really anxious about the lack of happenings, and it's okay. Don't take your mind too seriously when it tries to tell you that you are ruining your life, you are wasting your time, you are destroying everything, there's no point to it, and so on. Probably your mind will tell you those things, and it's okay. In a sense, you can treat your mind as a new dog you just brought home. You love it, but you also try to teach it what are the rules of the house. And it's my mind, the rules of this house is that now we are in silence, and even if you feel like suffering right now, this is what we are going to do. and have a good time suffering if you want to. And the point is not the suffering, but it can happen that your mind is so addicted to thoughts and emotions and identifying with them and having all kinds of buzzing chaos outside and inside, that when you cut them, your brain is like, I need to do something. You can't do that with me. I'm gonna get crazy. Just give me some happening. And first, it can hurt your mind, that you don't give it what it is so used to. And silence is a kind of like the learning how to flee from peace. So we spent like decades teaching our mind how to flee from peace. And now we reverse this process. And the first phase of this reversing can feel strange and can feel painful, and we can feel like we are heading the wrong direction because everything just feels more messed up. And it's okay, because sometimes it causes a bit of turbulence when we change directions. Like we are heading towards fleeing from peace the most we can, and now we change the direction and we are like wanting to fall into the depths of peace. It's like such a big shift for our mind. It cannot really cope with it first, and it's okay. And you need to be like patient with your mind. Like I sit down and my mind is crazy again, and it's okay, just sit there. It's okay if it hurts first. It's worth it. If you don't have any other benefits, just emotional health benefits, it's worth it. But most likely you will fall in love with the God you find in the very core of you. And you will just want it. And so there is this inner pull, this drawing into this silence, and everything else in you is resisting it. And you need to learn how to allow this inner pulling and drawing take over your reactions in your head. There's something deeper in you that longs for this silence, and this is why your mind is upset, because you were heading the other directions your whole life. And now there is this shift and your mind is like, what are you doing? Like, we were paying all our efforts and attention to do the complete opposite. Like, what happened to you? So what I would advise to you is to take 1 minute or 10 minutes, just sit down and allow your brain to be bored, or allow your brain to be crazy with thoughts. Just observe them and go into and head towards the place of less and less thoughts, and just enjoy this process of like, oh, I'm in silence and I don't care what is going on. Like, there's this inner chamber in me that is the place of peace, and I'm there. And it's okay if all the other parts of my mind is crazy. So let's go there again. Just find this place of peace in you, this core of peace in you, below the layers of thoughts and emotions and false identity. And if you have it, you can pause the video and just stay in it for minutes or however much time. And if there are thoughts, you can observe them. You can let all emotions to come if they want to come. Don't cling to them, don't analyze them, don't go with them, don't try to solve them. We are not here to fix ourselves. We are here to stop fixing ourselves. We are at the place of giving up. Giving up fixing ourselves. Giving up control altogether. And if your mind is crazy, and let it be. If your mind says you are wasting your time and things like that, be like, it's okay, I'm gonna do that. And if you have kind of like silence in yourself and your mind feels like it's bored, just let it be bored. It's okay to be bored. It's not the end of the world. You can tell your mind, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be bored and you're gonna sit with me. And let the nothing happen. Let the peace happen. Let the true tranquility of your person come to surface. And then just be there. Don't do anything. Don't try anything. Just be. This is the simplest task ever, and it can feel so strange. Just be. if you learn how to live in this place, you can be in this place when you do anything else. Many times the first step is to make silence outside, like stop everything that is going on from the outside and just sit in literal silence. But when you are in silence, you kind of have a way greater hindrance, that is the inner noise. And when this is at silence, and you learn to live in this silence in the inside, then you can practice being in your inside silence while there is no silence in the outside. So first, you create silence in every sense so that you can learn the inside silence. And when you learn it, you can take that silence anywhere. So it's not this practice is not about that you will never do anything again. It's about taking time and attention to teach your brain this truth of your being so that you know it and that you can live it in any circumstance after a while. And let me tell you, I'm not there. Like every now and then I'm like, the world can explode and I'm in my peace. And there are times when I really crave this outside silence as well, so that I can experience the inside silence. So this is a process, and it's not that fast for me, let me tell you. Like, it's been a few years since I've been practicing silence, and still I can feel like I need to shut down everything so that I can shut down my inside. Before I say goodbye, I would like to go back to that silence again, because that's the main thing of this video. So there's a mental health aspect to it, practicing silence, and this is where you learn who you are and who you are not. This is where God rewrites you. You are His letter. There are changes that going on that you can't even track. Sometimes when nothing happens, that's when the most happens. And this is something that is the true you, your original self, that is beyond your false identity. And you need to get to know it. You need to give space to it so that you can live from it. And it's worth to take time and effort to learn it. First, it feels like effort because it feels so alien to you. It can happen. And you can start with 1 minute or 10 minutes. It's okay if you feel like wasting time and you are bored and your mind is shouting. It's gonna be worth it. Maybe you won't feel like that in the first few months, but keep doing it. The only case I don't advise you to stay in silence is when you can't, when you feel like your thoughts are just getting worse while you are in silence, and you are like having stranger suicidal thoughts and things like that, maybe then you need to stop silence. But in every other case, if you just feel uncomfortable and you just feel crazy thoughts bumping up, just stay there. You're gonna be through it, and it's gonna be worth it. So one more time, go back to silence. Find that place in the core of your being, this God within you, dwelling in the innermost chamber of your soul. And just watch all the thoughts and all the happenings from this innermost chamber. And just be there. This is where you are when you are with God. This is the place of oneness with God. This is where Jesus, the Prince of Peace, reigns, and you can reign with Him in your soul. This is the incorruptible seed in you, the place that cannot be touched with any trauma, by any trauma or any happenings. This is the place of indestructible tranquility. You can sit with God here. You can just be here. Be who you are. Just be what you are. I am. I am that I am. Amen. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was a blessing for you. This course is completely free of charge. However, the production and editing has a cost, and I wanted to produce this series in the best possible quality and make it available to everyone absolutely free on YouTube. So if you feel led to, please contribute with any amount to the production costs. All the donation options and the payment methods are available in the description.